This is Fritz Frivolous with continuous live coverage of the corner of Curious Lane and Just Because Boulevard, the epicenter of the alien invasion. And this just in, King Kong is fighting the Mobile Suit Gundam. And of course, all of this is happening amidst World War IV, making it pure pandemonium. If only Captain Planet were still alive to save us all. Dude, could you imagine? War. Huh. Yeah. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again, y'all. Profound lyrics and perhaps words that need to be heard by many more. War and conflict has been a part of human history, seemingly from the beginning. Whether it was for resources, pushing a political agenda, or outright survival, humans seem to inevitably fall into a vicious cycle of warring with one another. But what if war never existed? What if conflicts were solved in another way? Let us join our two masterful mediators, Will and Tom, as they debate possible answers to this question until there is a clear winner. Welcome back, everybody. This is Tom Case.
This is Will Stark.
Will.
Yes.
I am so glad to have you back.
Indeed. It's been a while since we recorded.
It has been a while.
I don't know if the audience got a break.
No, the audience didn't get a break.
Okay.
They got one every Monday.
Yeah.
And I don't get it wrong, because I was hearing it from especially my brother-in-law Andrew. He was like, there better be an episode Monday, because he knew that you just had a baby. He was like, there's going to be another episode, right? He was like, there better be another episode.
I'm glad
Monday.
He's so enthused.
Yeah.
I'm also glad to be here recording. Although having the baby's been great. It's been a month now already, or he'll be a month on Tuesday.
Wow, it's already been a month.
Time is flying. It's crazy.
Dang, I didn't even realize that until you just mentioned it right now.
Yeah.
That has been
it's been fantastic, and I don't want to come back to work, but I will eventually.
I need you to come back to work because I need your white cloud.
My white cloud's disappeared. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. It'll be back. I'll be back before you know it.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that. So we actually got an email from a listener named Nick Woisin. Woisin? W-O-I-S-I-N.
Thank you, Nick.
Yes, thank you, Nick. He actually came up with this, and what he said was, dudes, could you imagine a world without war, without violence, without conflict?
Okay.
He said, idyllic, isn't it? And yet, would we have advanced? Almost every major technological advancement has been because of conflict. Would we still be dwelling in caves, hunting and gathering? Would we have domesticated herds of animals for various resources? And he says, yeah, my brain went wild. Have fun, gents.
So, yeah, the key there is a world without conflict, right? So
yeah.
It's like, if we're that averse to conflict, and or if we feel no need to conflict with each other, I mean, we're probably in a pretty blissful state, right? Like,
that's what I was thinking too. And I do like the fact that he mentions the advancements in like technology, actually in everything, in technology and medicine and all that kind of stuff, because a lot of that stuff does derive from conflict or from having a war or something.
It can. Like ambition can definitely be fed by conflict, for sure. Like,
yeah.
It is, very much so. But I'm trying to think about, like, this Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, well, let me do the official. So the official is, what if war/conflict never existed? Okay. Right? And so I'll put a little parameters on it. Mm-hmm. With the first bonds of human tribes, conflicts never arise and wars never happen. So that's what we're going for. Is like, this is going to be not if wars don't ever happen again. It's going to be, what if wars and conflicts never happen to begin with within human society?
And then theoretically never start?
Yeah, and never start. Never happens. They never
what about, like, arguments? What about, like conflict? What about, like, challenges? What about, like, rivalry? Like, does this still exist? And if so, how does that not, inadvertently over thousands of years, like, here and there, turn into actual fights? You know what I mean? Like,
I do believe that would be, I mean, very far-fetched.
Yeah.
If, like, you never had disagreements or things like that. So, no, I think that kind of stuff would still exist.
Yeah.
I just feel, if this were to happen with early man or whoever you want to, put this to, like, it would just be solved. It would have to be done in a I would have to say in a group setting, right? Because, like,
that would be the only way I would see a group of people, because usually that's what happens, right? You have one person with an idea, and you have people who are like-minded. Then you have the opposite side, and they have people who are like-minded. So it would have to be like a debate. It would have to be something like that. That's the only way I can think of that. That would solve it without having a war or conflict or battle.
I mean, we talk about like how conflict has fueled many of like humanity's greatest advances, and it's true. But also, humans are notoriously good, if not the best in the world, at working together. So there's that as well. But I can't help but feel like if we're so averse to conflict, does that mean we're averse to competition? And if we're averse to competition, then I think we never get past, I don't know, the Stone Age. I don't think we ever get past it because we're not pushing each other to be better, to do better. Like, I feel like competition, even if it's just with oneself, that the ambition to meet a challenge and to conquer it, to dominate it, and then meet the next one, that if that doesn't exist in us, I don't know if we do any progression. You know what I mean?
So you would agree with this statement, like even friendly competition is somewhat of a conflict?
I mean, to a certain extent, like, what is the driving of conflict, right? It's the disagreement of ideas, or the wanting to beat the other person, or the wanting to have what the other person has, right? Like, these are the things that lead to conflict. And if you don't have the desire to one up or progress or push past or be better than or any of those, which can be very negative emotions, don't get me wrong. Like, but at the same time, it is the heart of competition. And without competition, like, do we want to play games where we challenge our brains? Do we want to like solve puzzles? Do we want to, outperform? You know what I mean?
True.
Even if it's just competing with yourself and trying to do better 1 year over the previous year, like, if the competitive spirit doesn't exist, I don't know. I don't know if that happens.
See, I feel like even without the conflict, you're going to need a decided winner, right? You know what I mean? Like, the whole point of the conflict would be something to where
is this only like physical, right? Like, when we talk about conflict, do we really just mean physical? Like, nothing ever comes to blows. Like, people can disagree. Yeah, I think they can argue. Can they work against each other? Can they thwart each other? See, but that's going to turn into
no. I would think that's where that line would have to be drawn.
That's interesting.
See, because I still do think, like, competition and things can happen. Because even when you have two opposing views and you're trying to get, you're trying to get to a decision, right? There has to be a clear winner. Now, that doesn't have to come through conflict. So I don't know. In my head, I still see those competitions happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
so clear winner, like, when it comes to two opposing views, like, what if there, number one, what if there just is no, what's the word? Conclusion to a debate? Yeah, what if neither side can win? How is that resolved? And then what if a clear winner is had, but it's like a 51% to 49%, you know what I mean? As so many of these things do happen in real life. Like, does that 49% just, are they just at peace? Do they just accept it? Okay. Or do they work to fight against it another day? And that's, if that's true, that cycle will lead to violence eventually. Because eventually discontent feeds on itself, and then people want revolution, they want to change, they want to exodus, they want something,
Yeah, that is true. That, I mean, if it is going to have, they would cycle through like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And right now I'm having like this weird moment in my head where I'm thinking, is it that we just can't see the solution to that because that we are so bred to have conflict and to solve it in that? You know what I mean?
Maybe. Like, I think what I'm trying to get at here is a species that refuses to have conflict must not have as strong a passion about their opinions, you know what I mean? As strong a point of view, you know what I mean? Because if you are very passionate about your stance on something, even if you're incredibly grounded in logic and soundness about like whatever that stance is, and someone else is equally of sound of logic but feels differently, like, you probably aren't going to be able to sway each other's opinion, because now it's just come down to your subjective perspective. And it's not a flaw in anybody's logic. It's just you guys see things differently. If we are a species so unwilling to duke it out, to debate it out, to push to try and get your position up in front, then we're the kind of species that just kind of shrugs everything off and doesn't push. You know what I mean? Which leads to me thinking, again, we don't progress because we don't care enough. That's what I'm trying to say is we don't care enough.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I know. So, that's very weird. Yeah. It would have to be, you know, everything would have to like rely on the fact of if there would be some clear decision. And that's not what a lot of the opposing views always have. There's no clear, you know, answer. And when that happens,
Now, I can see like maybe a society that just refuses to ever get physically violent. Mm-hmm. There are other ways to conflict and domineer and you know maneuver, but whether it's like logically, socially, monetarily, like there are ways to arm yourself in a non-physical way to win your battles.
Oh, that's interesting. That's probably the way it would.
That's the way the society would have to be. So like people would. I mean, it's not necessarily violent, but like you could push your agenda to the point of like, well, pure lawful tyranny, which no one physically gets hurt, but like anybody who doesn't get in line gets either removed from the society. Yeah,
that's right. Like you may not get benefits.
Yeah,
you may
it could
not
be
have
just as evil and just as bad as violence, but it's just not violent.
It's kind of like a run around. Like it's still evil.
Exactly,
you know?
It's still super evil.
You know what? I bet you that that's how I think that's what would come about that. Like if we really didn't have the quote unquote war or conflict, it would be the removal of benefits or food or things that you probably need for life.
Yeah, or just an expulsion from the society itself, or just the inability to rise above whatever level that you've become stuck at or whatever. I mean, this shit happens all the time now. Yeah. Everything we just said happens all the time now. But yeah, in a society where just violence, the violent bone in our body doesn't exist, and like the idea of striking somebody in any type of physical way or doing physical harm to them is so absolutely naturally abhorrent to us. Mm-hmm. Yet we are still the human beings that we are that like desire competition and conflict in that regard of like challenges. Mm. Then I could see it going like that. But a species that is completely averse to all conflict to the point of like not even being able to like debate it out vigorously, that's a society that's never going anywhere.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it wouldn't progress. Yeah. So I guess to answer his question, if it did go the way what you just mentioned, like with, you know, there would have to be, you know, kind of indirect ways of like punishment or, you know, some ways of like
there has to be a way to push your agenda. There has to be a way to non-violently win your fights.
And when that happens, then it would grow.
Yeah, it would grow.
Then we would, because he asks on there, like, would we ever, you know, start herding animals? You know what I mean? Would we ever get out of the hunting gathering phase? Would we ever start building our own? You know what I mean? Like he asked that in the question. So I kind of wanted to answer that. So if that happens, I think we would grow out of that.
Right. Yeah. But I didn't even think about like the harming animals part. Like, are we so averse to physical violence and or conflict that
we wouldn't even do it to animals?
Yeah, we wouldn't even do it to animals, so we'd all be vegan. Well, I mean,
but don't hurt the plants.
Humans would have had to evolve differently than just like, because I think a big part of why human brains are the way they are is like back in the Australopithecine era of the fucking gene line, like we started not just eating meat but cooking the meat. Yeah, and that helped us develop our brains down the road. Like I don't know if we ever would have become intelligent, but maybe we do. But we would have been a different species. We wouldn't be Homo sapiens anymore. We'd be something else.
Yeah, that's true.
And our dietary needs would be different too, because if you do just eat plant life without getting vitamin B supplements and or like booster shots and stuff like that, like you can and will have terrible health and be extremely frail, which is not conducive to surviving in the wild.
Yeah.
So an entire vegan society would require a different biological makeup, and that probably is exactly what would happen, because again, so much about being Homo sapien is because we not only ate meat but we started cooking it.
Yeah. So and you're right. If we were so about not harming each other. We probably that probably would soon spill over to animals.
Yeah, exactly.
If not right away.
We would be homo veganus.
yeah, dude, that
homo
would be weird.
veganus, and we would probably have just a completely different but not only biological makeup, our teeth would be different, but also like our brain chemistry would probably be drastically different. Mm-hmm. I mean, it already is because we're so averse to violence, so it already is. But like, who knows what alien-minded like morality we would have?
I wonder how docile we may be.
Right,
because
exactly.
Of that,
Think about how herd animals, how docile they are, despite them being bigger and stronger than many predators.
Yeah,
like they run for their lives the second a predator shows up.
Yeah, you're right.
It's just in their blood. That's how. Now that being said, like I don't know, bison are still very violent with each other. Like it's not like they don't have a violent bone in their body, but yeah, there is this natural prey type mentality that they have. And yeah, we'd probably have that. We'd be skittish.
Yeah,
we'd be
versus
skittish.
These carnivores who are like hunting. Yeah. You know what I mean?
We would not have fight or flight. We would have only
flight. Yeah.
So,
let's go over to some Fritz facts here. So, one of them is war makes money. On the 28th of September 2018, Trump signed the Department of Defense Appropriations Bill that approved the approved 2019 Department of Defense discretionary budget is. Can you guess how much?
$2 billion? I don't know.
Wow. Kind of close.
Oh, yeah, was I?
$686.1 billion.
Okay, I was 1/3 of it, yeah.
That's I could have a $686.1 billion budget.
That's a lot of money.
It has also been described as $617 billion for the base budget and another $69 billion for war funding.
Yeah. Now, I'll say this. War has pushed a lot of technology, and if we did live in a society that, at the very least, war wasn't a thing. Maybe, like, one-on-one violence was sometimes a thing, but, like, war was a lot. I do think we wouldn't be as far as we are now, but I think that would be worth the trade.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just my personal belief.
Well, because a lot of those technologies came out of necessity because of the war,
right?
So they needed that. But if we didn't have war, we wouldn't need it.
I would trade the progress for the mentality, and I think we would probably be, by the time we did get to maybe this level of progress, I think our planet would be in a better state than it is now.
Yeah,
where everything's
definitely
fucking falling apart. Like,
yeah.
So yeah, I think that would be a great trade-off that I would give in a heartbeat.
Well, speaking of the technology, that's actually one of the Fritz facts here. Radar, computers, penicillin, and more all came out of development during the Second World War.
Yep.
So, I mean,
although
just mentioning
I don't know
those
if
three.
Was penicillin related to the war? I don't think it was.
I don't know if it was related to the war, but I think there was a lot of testing with some of the soldiers who got
sick,
the sick and stuff like that. And
so kind of like how like NASA, all their shit leads to all this stuff that's super not related with space. Okay, I buy that.
Yeah, that's true. Radar and computers too. It's funny to think about things like that when it was back in World War II.
Right.
Because you're only seeing all those black and white videos, and you're just like, man, that's so long ago.
Right.
But that's when that technology started. And it came.
It also it was long ago, but it also was not that long ago at all. Like. It's all within our grandparents, at least their parents' memories and stuff,
Yeah.
Like, it was just yesterday in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, for some people it would be. The other thing, too, that I thought was kind of interesting when I was looking at some of this stuff, and I don't know how true this is, but I heard it before, too, so it's starting to make me think that this may be true. But certain medical technologies, like skin grafts and stuff, actually was attributed to the porn industry because of the fact that adult toy makers, when they wanted to simulate skin, right? They started to like, oh, well, let's, this feels more like skin, this and that. So they started using it on like burn victims and things like that. You know what I mean?
The only two things to motivate humanity is violence and sex.
I know,
Yeah.
Hey,
there it is.
I think what's so sad to say is like right now, if the aliens are watching us, they're going to be like, okay, what are you going to enter in for your findings on Earth? Like, they're motivated by
violence,
sex and violence. Yeah. Isn't that the name of an album? Violence and Sex, or Sex and Violence?
It's the name. I know it's the name of a song by a punk band called The Addicts.
Oh, really? That's probably what I was thinking of. Yeah, that's probably what I heard. World War II has the biggest and deadly, or is the biggest and deadliest war in history, involving more than 30 countries, sparked by the 1939 Nazi invasion of Poland. The war dragged on for 6 years until the Allies defeated Nazi Germany and Japan in 1945. The longest war?
The 100 Years' War?
You know what? I that's the only one that came to my mind.
Yeah.
They call it Reconquista. Reconquista is the longest continual war in history. Was the Iberian Religious War between the Catholic Spanish Empire and the Moors living in what is today Morocco and Algeria.
Interesting.
The conflict known as the Reconquista spanned 781 years.
That's a long time.
More than 3 times as long as the United States has existed.
What constitutes the war part?
I know, because that's
how long
like,
was the war between Carthage and Rome then? Like maybe not 700 years. Maybe it was like 300 years, but still.
Yeah, the way I look at that, the way that's written, I'm thinking, well, are you
at
just saying because the
nationalism?
Yeah, right.
We hate those people.
The two governments have just never claimed they're not at war anymore.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
So then they're just like, hey, let's see how long this is going to go.
But to be fair, I know absolutely nothing about that war, so I guess I'm not one to speak on it.
You know what? I was like, I've never heard anything about this. I was like, I can't wait to ask Will and bring it up and see if Will knows something.
The war between the Moroccans and the Spanish?
The Moors, which are living in what is today Morocco and Algeria, and the Catholic Spanish Empire.
Yeah.
So I stumped Will, everybody. I did it. Goodbye. No, just playing.
Podcast over.
Yeah. No, but I did think that was interesting. I was like, well, why is it the longest? Like, is it just like, they're not continuously like actually shooting at each other.
Right.
Or, like,
so I guess it's more of a Cold War, but whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Or maybe we just don't know. Maybe it's the hottest fucking war to ever be, and they just never stopped.
Yeah, people are just like,
as Americans, we've never heard of it.
Yeah, I know, right? But dude, could you imagine?
Breaking news, a new study suggests leaving an iTunes review is very important for newly created podcasts. So to nurture your new favorite podcast, make sure to leave an iTunes review. This has been Fritz Frivolous, reminding you to like, comment, and subscribe. Will and Tom, back to you. I'm Fritz Frivolous, live with breaking news. It has been reported that Dr. Strange has disappeared, and this time, not by his own doing. A large portal has opened up above 177A Bleecker Street in New York City, and moments ago, a voice was heard coming from this portal. We shall play the audio for you now.
I have taken your sorcerer supreme and pitted him against 3 others. His return depends on his survival.
It is believed that the voice is an interdimensional being known as Dormammu. We shall continue to bring you live coverage as more develops, but now we shall return you to your regularly scheduled program.
And we're back.
Mm-hmm.
So, Will, this one's going to be a little different, and you know what? I'm just going to read you the parameters first.
Okay.
Because this parameter right here is it's kind of a story here.
All right.
This is the parameters. A cosmic, cataclysmic event occurs, merging different realms together, leaving 4 powerful magical beings trapped in an Earth-like realm, and the only way out is to battle each other until only one is left standing.
Okay.
Who are these 4 magical beings, you ask?
Yes, I do.
Merlin, Gandalf, Voldemort, and Doctor Strange. What if there was a magical Royal Rumble?
Strange.
You think, just right off the bat, boom.
Absolutely.
Just Doctor Strange?
I guess I'll tell you why after you're done, but go ahead.
Okay. So, well, obviously, the objective would be who would win the battle and how.
Yes.
Well, I do have a little bit, just because I don't know how our listeners are familiar with each one of these characters. Okay. So let's just go real quick. Merlin, created by Geoffrey of Monmouth?
Okay, let's stop you there. You said Merlin.
Yes.
Merlin wasn't created by... Well, he was created by somebody, but you can't... I strike that from the record. Merlin was not created by whoever you're about to fucking say. Merlin is from mythology so old, we're not sure who made him up or didn't.
Yeah, they credit it to this guy only
they're
because
fucking wrong.
Only because of the fact that
I don't care the reason. They're wrong.
That he wrote stories with the character.
I mean, he didn't create shit.
So technically he didn't create it, but
anyway, sorry.
The great internet says he created it, Will. It is true. Merlin's traditional biography casts him as a cambion, a being born of a mortal woman, sired by an incubus, from whom he inherits his supernatural powers and abilities, most commonly and notably prophecy and shape-shifting.
Yeah.
Merlin matures to an ascendant sagehood and engineers the birth of Arthur through magic and intrigue. Later, authors have Merlin serve as the king's advisor and mentor until he disappears from the story after having been bewitched or forever sealed or killed by his student known as the Lady of the Lake, after falling madly in love with her, leaving behind a series of prophecies foretelling the events yet to come. He is popularly said to be buried in the magical forest of Broceliande? I don't know how to pronounce that. B-R-O-C-E.
What do you mean buried? Like, the dude was left to die in a cave by Vivian, where he couldn't escape.
Not according to the internet, Will.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. That's what this says on the wiki for him.
By the way, it's not the Lady in the Lake, it's one of ladies in the lake, because there's many of them, and they show up in different parts of Arthurian legend with...
How many of them?
At least 3, probably more, and they're not from the same lake either.
Oh, really?
No, yeah, they're not.
They're from the Great Lakes.
Like, a Lady of the Lake essentially is just like a mystic supernatural woman that the origins of which are mysterious.
Next we have Gandalf, created by J.R.R. Tolkien. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Was he created by J.R.R. Tolkien?
Absolutely, he was.
As a wizard and the bearer of a ring of power, Gandalf has great power, but works mostly by encouraging and persuading. He sets out as Gandalf the Grey, possessing great knowledge, and traveling continually, always focused on the mission to counter the Dark Lord Sauron. He is associated with fire, his ring being Narya, the Ring of Fire, and he both delights in fireworks to entertain the hobbits of the Shire, and in great need uses fire as a weapon. As one of the Maiar, he is an immortal spirit.
He's essentially an angel.
Yeah, but being in a physical body on Middle Earth, he can be killed in battle, as he is by the Balrog from Moria. But he's sent back to Middle Earth to complete his mission, now as Gandalf the White and leader of the Istari. Ishtari, or is it Istari?
It's Istari. It's the 5 wizards that were sent to Middle Earth.
Tolkien once described Gandalf as an angel incarnate. Later, both he and other scholars have likened Gandalf to the Norse god Odin in his wanderer guise. Others have described Gandalf as a guide figure who assists the protagonist.
Yeah, Tolkien was hugely influenced by the Norse sagas, so I could see that being an influence for sure.
Yeah. Especially, I mean, compared to Odin, though, I mean, Odin was like the god. Like, he was like...
They're not comparing him to Odin on the power level. Like,
like Odin
just
as like
in personality and in role of the story.
Next we have Lord Voldemort, or Tom Marvolo Riddle, created by J.K. Rowling. Voldemort is the arch enemy of Harry Potter, who, according to a prophecy, has the power to vanquish the Dark Lord. He attempts to murder the boy, but instead kills his parents, Lily and James Potter, and leaves Harry with a scar on his head in the shape of a lightning bolt. Nearly every witch or wizard dares not utter his name and refers to him instead with such monikers as you-know-who, he who must not be named, or the Dark Lord. Voldemort's obsession with blood purity signifies his aim to rid the wizarding world of Muggle or non-magical heritage, and to conquer both worlds, Muggle and wizarding, to achieve pure blood dominance. Through his mother's family, he is the last descendant of the wizard Salazar Slytherin, one of the 4 founders of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. He is the leader of the Death Eaters, a group of evil wizards and witches dedicated to ridding the wizarding world of Muggles and establishing Voldemort as its supreme ruler. The next one is my favorite, which is Doctor Strange, created by Steve Ditko. The character begins as an extremely talented but egotistical surgeon who loses the ability to operate after a car crash severely damages his hands beyond repair. Searching the globe for healing, he encounters the Ancient One, the Sorcerer Supreme. Strange becomes his student and learns to be a master of both the mystical and the martial arts. He acquires an assortment of magical objects, including the powerful Eye of Agamotto and Cloak of Levitation. and takes up residence in a mansion referred to as the Sanctum Sanctorum, located in 177A Bleecker Street, Greenwich Village, New York City. Strange assumes the title of Sorcerer Supreme and, with his friend and valet Wong, defends the world from mystical threats. Who would win the battle and how, Will?
Okay, so the main thing is there's a huge disparity in power levels between the types of magic in these worlds.
This is just, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
What?
This is where like I'm rubbing my hands together now, because when I was thinking of this question, I was like, I want to know the knowledge of these different types of magic coming, because I know you know these. You know what I mean? So yeah, like this is where I want to know about.
With Merlin and Gandalf specifically, is the nature of their magic is incredibly subtle and mysterious, and that's kind of like the name of the game with them. Like, they can do things so long as it's narratively convenient or inconvenient in some cases. How and why is never really explained. By never really, I mean never explained. But nothing is so flashy as, like, I don't know, stopping time or looking through a million fucking dimensions or, you know, I don't know, the bands of Sitarak or any of the things that Doctor Strange or Voldemort can do, you know, Avada Kedavra and all that other stuff. It's much more like ritualistic, invisible. It's all about perception. Like, was it magic or was it just happenstance kind of deal? So, like, for me in a fight, Merlin's fucking useless.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if we're talking about like Arthurian, like he can shapeshift, so he's got that.
Yeah,
like that's not nothing. Like Merlin's not nothing. Merlin fucked me up in a fight. Like, that's
sure.
Well,
yeah.
But I mean, when you're comparing Merlin from the Arthurian legends to Voldemort or Doctor Strange, they're just gonna fucking blast him and he's done. He can't put up a shield. You know, he might be able to turn invisible and then maybe shank a fool, but like. Other than that, like, what's Merlin going to do?
How successful do you think that would be? Like, if he did use that, maybe shape-shifting and turning invisible or something like that.
I mean, sure. But, like, you know who else can do that is Voldemort, and Doctor Strange could also do that. Mm-hmm. Gandalf can't even do that. He can pass without a trace, kind of, but I don't think Gandalf can go straight invisible.
This would actually be something I would want to know. Okay. Let's say we both have these powers. Sure. I became invisible. Mm-hmm. You became invisible. Yeah, sure. Does that mean that I can see you now because I also became invisible?
I mean, you know what I mean? That depends on the world in which we're operating. Like, is invisibility like you bending light in such a way as to like you appear not to be there? Or is it like you slipping into the ethereal realm where other people can't see you and you can see them? Because if it's the ethereal realm, then yeah.
Because that's how I would think Doctor Strange.
Well, that's how Frodo turns invisible.
Yeah, like, you're right.
He slips into like a subdimension.
So would you say Gandalf could do that too? That's how if Gandalf were to become invisible. Gandalf
can't do that unless if we had the Ring of Power, sure. But I don't think he could turn invisible with the Ring of Fire.
What is it called? Oh, the Ring of Fire he couldn't. No. That doesn't grant him the power.
Just like to put this on a power scale. Mm-hmm. Like we have Merlin at the bottom, followed by Gandalf, followed by Voldemort, and then finally Doctor Strange just blows up. Doctor Strange can open portals to dimensions like that. He can fly with his levitation cloak. I don't think Voldemort can even fly.
Yeah, he can.
Can he?
Well, I know you're gonna.
Because like in the books, like wizards can't make themselves fly.
Well, in the movie.
I care about the goddamn movie.
But in the movies, I care about the movies. They fly around sometimes. I mean, it doesn't look like, I don't know how far, but they do look like they're traveling with the black smoke that's like, poof, and they're just like, you know what I mean?
Oh, like, yeah, that's more like teleportation than anything. It's not really them flying. It's like they turn into smoke and they transfer to and then they have to re-apparate, you know.
But don't they show them, you know that part where Harry Potter... he doesn't have to change, but everyone else, that the Order of a Phoenix, right?
Yeah,
and his friends too, like they all have to take the Polyjuice potion to look like Harry Potter. Mm-hmm. Isn't it after that when they're all trying to fly away to escape? Doesn't the Death Eaters fly at them and can still cast spells at them, right? Like attacking spells?
All I know is in the books, I'm pretty sure you can't fly. It's a thing. But maybe I'm misremembering. I could be pulling that from the fact that Jedi can't make themselves fly, which is a thing. Mm-hmm. Regardless, like, just the power levels are so desperate. Like, the things Doctor Strange can do just are ridiculous. Like, he has the power to destroy a planet. Voldemort does not have the power to destroy a planet. Gandalf certainly doesn't have the power. And Merlin didn't even have the power to get himself out of a fucking cave. Yeah. So. So there that is.
If you had to like, construct a fight, choreograph a fight,
okay,
how do you think would go?
I think Merlin runs for his life. I think that's Merlin. Merlin was never a fighter in the first place. Merlin's gonna go invisible.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say. Actually, what I was gonna say. Okay, let's start here. Boom, the realms merge. They all of a sudden appear to each other. Do you think they're fighting right away? Do you think they're saying something first?
All right, so they're stuck, and the only way for them to be free is for one of them to kill all the others.
Yeah, only one can pass through back into the.
Okay, my question here is, how does this affect Gandalf specifically? Gandalf's soul is anchored to Iluvatar, and I can't even remember what fucking realm
I don't know.
that God is from in Middle Earth. Like, when he dies, he returns to his true form as a Maiar, an angel, and goes back to essentially heaven. Like, what happens? How does that work for him?
If he dies there?
Yeah, if he dies there. Like, is his soul just incinerated? Because if he does get to go back to God, I can't remember
wherever he goes.
Yeah. Then what does he care? He'll just let himself die.
You know what? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's how. Yeah. If he dies there, he does not get to go back.
Okay, so like
there's stake for him to.
There's stake for him to fight. Gandalf does most of his fighting with a sword. I don't know if you noticed. He's a wizard,
and he does have his staff too.
But he's not like a wizard in like normal terms.
Yeah, I did think that was weird.
He fights with a fucking sword, and like the magic he does isn't like wizardry. It's actually like him using his inherent angelic energies to like do goodwill.
Yeah. Do you think Gandalf would jump the gun and unsheath his sword first? Here's
a question: How well acquainted with each other are they?
They're not acquainted.
Okay,
they don't know.
Gandalf's so fun because he's gonna draw his sword out, and Voldemort's gonna be like, Avada Kedavra. Gandalf's done. Gandalf's out. That's it. Because Gandalf's going to be like, all right, so 3 other wizards, let's go. Pulls out sword.
Voldemort, you think, would jump?
I think Voldemort would think it would be fucking hilarious because this dude just pulled a sword on him. He's going to think it's hilarious.
If he pulled the sword.
And he would, because he'd be like, all right, I guess we're fighting. Here's my sword because I'm a wizard.
Well, but they don't know. Like, do you think, I want to know, like, do you think Gandalf would be the one to be like they just appeared now, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm Gandalf, and boom, all of a sudden I see Doctor Strange, Voldemort, and Merlin, right? Now is Gandalf going to be like, whoosh, and like, shing?
Here's how I could see this working out. Everyone appears. They're told they got to fight to the death. Mm-hmm. I think Voldemort's like, fine, like I'll start killing bitches right now. I love killing bitches. This is what I do. I'm Voldemort.
Yeah.
Merlin, I don't think you know this, but Merlin is almost as terrible a human being, if not worse than Voldemort. Merlin is horrible.
Actually, I did know that, and you know by who? By you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when you told me that, that's why I was thinking like I wanted.
He's a rapist and a murderer and he's like political. He fucking causes war. He's a horrible person. I think both those. I think Merlin immediately goes invisible and tries to get to a safe place to then formulate a plan.
Yeah.
I think it depends. If Voldemort is fearful enough or wary enough of Strange and Gandalf, he might try to do the same thing. He's like, hold up, like I don't know anything about you fuckers, so let me back up and turn invisible and get out of here. And if he does that, that actually puts Gandalf and Strange at an advantage because they will actually talk about things.
Yeah, see, that's what I see that too. Yeah. And I also think because Merlin going invisible would be not an act of aggression. It's definitely not an act of aggression, but I think that would trigger Voldemort to be like, oh, okay, he wants to disappear. I don't know where he's at.
Yes.
And he would become very, more very hyper aware and cautious. And, yeah, you are right. I think the only two, but I don't know. I wonder if Voldemort would want to go invisible after that point. If he sees, because of the way Doctor Strange and Gandalf are dressed, if he would perceive them to be other wizards that may be a threat to him. You know what I mean?
Well, Gandalf, I think maybe, so. No, I think he would see them both as like wizards because of the way they dress. Like Gandalf dresses like the way wizards would have in medieval times.
Yeah.
While Strange maybe doesn't look exactly like that, but he definitely looks flamboyant, and plenty of wizards dress weird.
Yeah.
So
that is.
I think he would. I think they would all recognize each other as wizards, but I don't think they'd recognize that they're not the same kind. And I think Voldemort not knowing what's up, like, he's either going to do two things. He's either going to immediately pull the trigger and start a Avada Kedavra thing and just see how that plays out, or he's going to get the hell out of Dodge, form another plan, and come back.
Yeah.
And for me, in this scenario, I'm like, Merlin goes invisible, Voldemort is like, fuck this, teleports back. And I think Gandalf and Strange actually have a conversation. And then,
what kind of conversation?
They're both good people. And I think Gandalf's like, look, I don't want to kill anybody. Like, we don't even know who it is who transported us here. Let's have a conversation. And then Doctor Strange would be the same way. And I think they would talk about it. And Doctor Strange has powers on such a level, like, I find it hard to believe that there is an entity that would be able to keep Strange there.
You know what? I'm glad that you brought that up, though. I was going to add someone else into this mix.
Yeah.
But that would have been way OP, way overpowered. And that would have been Wanda. Because honestly,
it's just as bad.
Yeah,
she's a reality alterer. So.
Yeah, this question actually was sparked by our friend Mike, coworker, and but like I kind of added some things in there, but originally it was with Wanda, and I was like, there's no way. She bends reality. I mean, not bends. She creates reality. But so you said that Doctor Strange and Gandalf would probably have the conversation. Now, do you not see? I see them like at least if it's Gandalf the White, because I didn't even address that. Like I didn't even know who would. You know what I mean? Is Gandalf the White more powerful?
Yes,
okay, we'll
absolutely.
put Gandalf the White in there.
Sure.
So I kind of feel like they both have ego issues, and I wonder how nice this conversation may go, because like Doctor Strange definitely has an ego.
Yeah,
and
but he
might be like, "Who are you?"
Like, well, yeah, it's exactly what I was going to. But like, they're going to talk to each other. They're not going to attack each other, and I don't think they're going to want to kill each other. To get out of this situation, they're going to try and find a different way.
Yeah, which is why I said last one standing. Technically, you don't have to kill the other person. Just, you know what I mean? The last one to be able to go out.
Yeah, and maybe they discuss and they get to that conclusion.
Because I don't think they would kill.
And I think if they do come to that conclusion, then the conclusion needs to be, well, we need to knock these other two out, and then we can have a spar.
Yeah.
And I think if they team up, they got a good chance. Actually, I think if they team up, they're definitely going to trounce the other two.
Yeah, I don't see if those two team up. I do not see the other two. Even if the other two teamed up, I still don't see them being able to.
And the thing is, like, it doesn't even have to be a team up. Like, it could be send Gandalf after Merlin because he's going to kick his ass, and then and Strange can take care of Voldemort. And there's nothing Voldemort can do against Strange. I'm sorry, there's no spell that can get past all the wards that Strange will pull up in a heartbeat. The shields he can pull up in a heartbeat. The teleportation in a heartbeat. Like, he's just on a way bigger power level.
That's what I was going to bring that up too. I was like going to say, well, let's rewind and let's go back to where you said if
Voldemort just pulls the trigger.
Yeah, and he just starts Hadabra Kadabra. You know what I mean? Everyone.
Yeah.
And so you think Doctor Strange shields? You know, like they would definitely be able to
or teleports or goes incorporeal or whatever the fuck he wants because he's Doctor Strange.
Or he still has the Eye of Agamotto. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Or stops time.
It would just rewind back. Yeah, stop time or whatever. I was also thinking, but what if this was Voldemort that still had Horcruxes, right? I wonder how that would technically.
Well, you said it's last man standing, and I feel like if they come to that conclusion, you know what Doctor Strange is going to do? He's going to stop time. He's going to conjure 3 ropes. He's going to tie everyone the hell up so that they can't do any incantations, and they're on the ground lying down, and he's going to unfreeze time, and he won.
In a blink of an eye, they wouldn't know what happened.
Yeah. There's very few worlds or universes or timelines in which Doctor Strange is not the winner. It's like the opposite of Infinity War, where he's like, I looked at 14 million timelines and we only succeeded in one. He's gonna be, I looked at 14 million timelines, I only fucked up in one.
Yeah.
So
he's Sorcerer Supreme, even in different realms, like even in these different universes. Like,
I mean, I think the idea here is like they're all coming here with their wizard powers, right?
Yeah.
So then, yes, he wins. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing. Like, I'm just trying to think of if there's any other different ways this may go.
I mean, okay, here's another way it could go is maybe Doctor Strange doesn't know the right kind of shield, or maybe Abracadabra isn't shieldable, right? But Strange doesn't know that, so he puts up a shield, and then Voldemort just fucking quick 1, 2, 3 shots everybody, and then he wins.
Yeah, that's true.
That's another one. There's no way Gandalf and Merlin win anything. I'm just letting you know that right now. There's just no way. Because the only way Gandalf takes any of these guys out is like
if he stabs them with a sword.
If he stabs them with a sword. He's really good at that, and his sword is magical. So like they could be caught unawares. They think it's a normal sword. It's actually Glamdring, the fucking orc slayer, which is what it is. That's what it is. And yeah, maybe he super stabs a bitch.
No, I'll be honest with you. I think the what you said originally, I think that's actually how it would go.
Yeah.
I think they would appear to each other.
Yeah.
I think Merlin, you're right. Merlin would probably go invisible because he knows, well, I need to prepare to do my magic.
Yeah.
Because he's not, you know what I mean?
Like, okay, the only way Merlin wins is if he plays a like the long game. He turns the entire area into like a death circle where he has to sacrifice himself to take out everybody. That's how his magic works. It's stupid.
And yeah, and then I guess if he did turn invisible too, he would have to hope that they're not paying that he's not making noise walking around, or that they don't see his footprints and whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you're right, and then that would probably spook Voldemort if he sees the other people and then one of them disappears.
He's like,
I
need to get out of here.
Yeah, I think he would be like, well, let me regroup.
Yeah.
Let me go and think about that.
And I think that moment, Voldemort doing that is the linchpin for everything.
Because that gives Strange and...
He signs his death warrant at that point because now he's given the two reasonable non-murder hobos a chance to talk. And then no one can defeat Strange.
But dude, could you imagine?
And now it's time for old news.
Hello, everybody. It's Will and Tom with old news here. And the old news I wanted to bring up, one, was in our episode where we talk about which universe that we would love to live in.
What was that episode?
Yeah, Wonderful World of Winterfell. Exactly. And I talked about how my number one would be Star Trek, and then number two would be Harry Potter, and my third would be the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Which the last two I know is definitely dangerous.
Dangerous choices for sure, especially the Marvel one.
Yeah, exactly. You know, with all those world world-ending events and everything. And well, the funny part was not that long ago, I actually took my wife for her birthday to Disneyland. And we got to visit Avengers Campus.
And how was it?
It was awesome, by the way.
Yeah, I've never been.
Man, I loved the stuff that they had there. I thought it was well thought out. You know what I mean? Of course, obviously there's like...
Limitations?
Not limited. Well, I heard that they're supposed to have two rides there. I wasn't able to get on one ride. Okay. And the second ride I don't think is open yet.
Oh, so they had no rides.
So they have one ride. I just wasn't. It was so busy I could not get in the virtual queue.
Okay.
And then another funny story was, the thing is, so before they had Avengers Campus, you would see a lot of, when Disney acquired Marvel, right? You would see a lot of these characters walking around, and some of them didn't look so great. Like when Black Widow was walking around before Avengers Campus, it was like, just some girl in like a tight black suit with like literally like plastic candy red hair. You know what I mean? Wow, that it just definitely did not look good.
Chancy, right? Yeah.
So all the characters now at Avengers Campus, they look legit, right?
That's awesome.
Some of them, their faces even look similar to the actors. Like they had one that was Loki, right? And he's even dressed as he is right now in the Loki show with his TVA uniform. Spoilers alert.
Yeah.
But and he kind of like from far away when you see him, you're like, oh, that looks like Tom Hiddleston, right? So the funny part was, so I look over and somebody, and I think it was my brother-in-law, says like, oh, look, there's Black Widow. She's standing on this like concrete thing that they had there, right? And it's like so people could take pictures.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, cool. Oh, Black Widow's there. And of course, my wife was like, oh, of course you're going to be happy that Black Widow's here, right?
Oh my God,
right, yeah. And I'm like, no, I'm just saying like it's cool because Black Widow looks like Black Widow now, right?
Yeah.
And of course, my brother-in-law has to point out the fact that we're standing behind her. So he's like, how do you know what she looks like, Tom? You're standing behind her. What exactly are you looking at? And I'm like, no, I'm looking at her hair because it was the natural. It looked like real hair, and it was like natural.
Scarlett Johansson's hair.
Yeah, hair. Exactly. Sure. That's exactly what I meant.
You're hilarious.
But no, the whole Avengers campus was awesome. The Pym test kitchen was funny and like had really good food there.
Nice.
Like the funniest one I saw, it was called the Little Big Chicken Sandwich, and it had like a little bun, but the chicken patty was probably it was huge, dude, like bigger than a frisbee.
Oh my god,
it was hilarious. Huge. Yeah. And I never, when I go to Disney, I usually never buy any merchandise. When I went there, I bought a shirt, a backpack, and a hat.
Yeah,
right.
Because I had the backpack.
The backpack's awesome, dude, and it actually doubles as a what do you call it, a duffel bag instead of a backpack. Wow. So you just have to like connect another strap.
Okay.
But anyways. So it was never so prevalent to me what you said, how dangerous living in the Marvel Universe would be until we visited Avengers Campus, and all of a sudden they have like Taskmaster come out, right?
Yeah.
And so like, of course, like all the other Avengers characters that are there, you know, they have their moment to shine and they're fighting. But I started noticing that the crowd of people that were gathering around this battle, and I started talking to my wife like, oh my God. I was like, Will is correct. All these people right now would either be seriously injured or dead.
Yep.
I was like, if Taskmaster really came out with his goons, they had like 2 to 3 goons out. And even if Black Widow was there, or I think even like Thor came into the mix, you know, and they're fighting, there's going to be collateral damage. You know what I mean? And these people were just all crowded around like, ooh, and I'm like, man, if this really was the Marvel Universe, boom, they're dead. They're dead, or seriously life-altering injuries are happening. You know what I mean? Like, and I just thought it was so funny that I was like, man, I got to experience living in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, in a way you did. That's pretty cool.
So the other one I wanted to bring up was episode 14, Knack to the Future, where we were talking about if we had like certain powers that we didn't know yet that, like you had the white cloud, right? Yeah,
the white cloud, you had the luck thing.
And I had the luck thing with the gambling. So I wanted to bring an update because
you went to casino, right?
We went to Vegas, right? And we went up there, and this time I was paying attention.
Okay.
And whenever my wife wanted to play a slot machine or something, I started with her, and then I would walk away for a little while, and then I would come back. And I did this probably like, I don't know, maybe 10 times.
Okay.
And I was trying to like remember in my head, like, okay, what happens every time I come back? So it wasn't consistent, but I do have to say maybe 7 out of 10 times when I came back, she would start winning and someone else around her, if we were next to someone else, started winning. But what most notably happened was she was playing that slot machine Buffalo, the one that I'll tell you with the dream, right?
Buffalo, yeah.
Buffalo. And there was another guy playing it on the other side because they have like it was like a three of the same game, like all like in a triangle.
Like bank. Yeah,
exactly. And so she starts playing it. I didn't leave for that long, actually. I think I just kind of walked around looking to see if there was another game I wanted to play. And I couldn't find anything, so I came back. And she started winning all these free games, right? And every time it would spin in one of her free spins, she would win more free games. Okay. So she started off with, I think, like 8, and then it went to like 13, then 20, then 25. I think it got like up to 25.
Yeah.
And then the guy next to us won a jackpot. Right, one of the it was like a mini jackpot, but I think it was like $200, nice, you know. Nice. And he was saying, he's like, man, I was sitting here playing this game, and he goes, and finally now I won, and it happened to be when I walked back.
I came back.
So there may be a little something to this, you know.
Okay, well, we'll enter into the evidence towards file. We'll have to. I know you go to casinos a lot, so you're gonna have to update me more.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pay more attention. I'm gonna have to like come up with an actual like plan, you know, to this experiment.
Right. I like it. Well, I like the results.
And that has been Old News.
I'm walking here.
And now, let's join Will and Tom with the traffic report.
Hey everybody, it's Will and Tom with the traffic report. So, Will, I wanted to let you know we actually had a new iTunes review,
Woo!
Apple Podcast review, 5 stars. And it's thanks to Danny the D. Brown.
Thank you, Danny the D. Brown.
He writes, came for Will, stayed for Tom. Love the question. Love the questions and parameters. Thank you. Great chemistry between Will and Tom. Brian as a guest was a great addition in a recent episode. That was a very fun.
Yes, that was a lot of fun.
It was a main stage Dragon Rage, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
The age difference between the co-hosts always makes me laugh.
I'm actually surprised how often it comes up.
Yeah, and I'm actually glad it makes somebody laugh. No, it is pretty funny because I forget our age difference sometimes. But,
yeah, all the time.
And it says must listen for Dungeon Cast fans. So I thought that was cool.
Cool. Thank you again. That's awesome review.
Yes, thank you, Danny. And we had a lot of traffic on our YouTube. I wanted to mention there was, and I'm not sure if maybe this was like a typo. Mm-hmm. So it's either Dean A. Eichelman or Deanna Eichelman because there's a space between Dean and A.
I think it's Dean A. Eichelman. Though.
Dean A. Eichelman.
I mean, I would imagine.
Maybe. So in episode 3, Pika Goo Goo Goo, they write on here. So and I want to know your answer on this. Would legendaries be like nuclear weapons where the governments try to get as many as they can to be used in crisis?
Absolutely. I mean, good luck, because like a lot of the legendaries in Pokemon lore are incredibly powerful. Like I don't even know how you begin trying to contain some of them. Mewtwo is an obvious one, but what about like Rayquaza, who's essentially the god of the sky?
Yeah.
And so.
Okay,
but
cool.
Yeah, they would definitely try and capture them.
Yeah, I just responded. I was like, very interesting. I would believe so. Right? Because I don't know that much about the Pokemon. You know what? They actually also wrote one for Clone Appetit. Oh, and they said appetizers, some fresh baguette with seasoned butter. Simple but damn so good.
It is very good, absolutely.
Entree would be schnitzel with baked potatoes and broccoli with hollandaise sauce. That actually sounds good.
Are they from Germany?
You know what? I'm starting to think maybe. They have schnitzel in there. So the dessert, a sweet omelet with cream and strawberries. That actually sounds bomb right now.
That sounds like they're definitely from Europe for sure.
Yeah. And their drink would be apple. I love apple juice. They said you can mix it with water at any ratio to change the sweetness, and it also is a good source of vitamins.
Yep, absolutely.
We have someone named Bryant Von Miller who likes to comment a lot on our YouTube, but this last time I just thought it was funny. They put a quote on here, and they quoted us on the Nightmare on Greek Street.
Yeah. And
we talked about if the Greek gods are real.
Yeah.
And I guess at 33 minutes and 48 seconds, you say, I don't think Hercules is stronger than a fucking nuclear bomb, Tom. He says, love it. I thought that was funny,
That sounds like a quote I would say. Yeah, I remember that, because I remember arguing that the Greek gods aren't actually that powerful.
Yeah.
In comparison to like modern weaponry. And you were trying to tell me that the gods were. I was like, I don't think they're stronger than a nuclear bomb.
Oh, man. If only we could find that out.
I'm glad we'll never.
Yeah. We also had Darnell Hudson. Darnell wrote on the same episode. I think if I had to have a Greek god ruling over me, it would be Hestia.
Ooh, that was good. That's a good pick.
Yeah.
You know, Hestia is like the forgotten Olympian. Everyone forgets about
right?
Her. Only because she's so nice.
Yeah. Goddess of earth and home.
She's goddess of dope shit.
Yeah, she's a virgin goddess, he writes on here. Mm-hmm. She's basically your cool-ass mom friend who keeps her followers safe at home and promotes kindness amongst her followers.
Yep. Hestia is the right choice. I think in the episode I chose Hermes, but if I had thought of Hestia, I agree.
So this one, I wanted to read. This is actually from my brother-in-law, Andrew.
Oh, okay.
And he's talking about, again, Nightmare on Greek Street, because he actually has some experience with bad dreams. But in this one, he talks about his sleep paralysis. He says, another great episode. When I was younger, I would get sleep paralysis quite a bit. It was always two versions. One, I would always see a Grim Reaper type figure after me. And another would be a witch-looking hand. And all I would see was a hand grabbing me, and it felt like my soul was leaving my body, being dragged under my bed. And of course, I cannot move, and I'm screaming, and no sound is coming out.
Yep.
LOL, he says, some effed up crap, but I really experienced that.
Yeah, sleep paralysis is the worst. I used to have very terrible experiences that I will not ever talk about.
Yeah, and, you know, it's funny how there's common themes with the sleep paralysis. Like he mentions the hand, because I've had that too when I was younger. But it was like a skeleton hand. And then the thing about like some witch figure or whatever, I remember that happening a few times to me too. And it always freaked me out because I see her walk into my room. You know what I mean? And of course, the whole thing about sleep paralysis is you can't move.
Yeah.
So I see her walking slowly up to my room, coming up to me, and I can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
But man, that would be horrible. But thanks everyone. We love hearing your thoughts and comments. So please leave them, and please leave your iTunes reviews.
Indeed.
And that is all we have for you tonight. We will continue to bring you up-to-date coverage as new imaginings develop. Please don't forget to leave an iTunes review, like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Remember, you can follow us on YouTube and on Twitter at dudecouldyouimagine. And if you would like to contact us or tell us what you are imagining, you can email us at dudecouldyouimagine@gmail.com. This has been Fritz Frivolous, and from all of us here at Dude Could You Imagine, keep on imagining.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Tom.
That's not how the show opens.
That is not how it opens. Oh my god, we haven't done this in so long now. I feel like I forgot.